Okay.
I've got new questions for you this time around, so 3 rolls on the tower, and whatever you roll, that is what we're going to start with. All right, number 8.
Okay, better number.
I kept this one, actually, purposely. You answered this last time, and now I want to know how your answer has changed. It's Hazbin Songs. I want to know the Season 2 song that is stuck in your head the most.
Ooh, that's a good one. Season 2, I love the music on. It's probably a toss-up between, like, Gravity, which is great. I believe that's probably one of the strongest in the season. And then I really like Piss. I find myself singing that one a lot, which is a very funny sentence.
My answers. Those are my answers. I'm obsessed with both of those songs.
Yes, they're so good. I think Piss especially is a feat because not only did they get that title across me, which is very difficult to do. I don't particularly love, like, toilet humor.
Okay.
And so, it makes its way in, but it's always through like I have to think it's funny in some way. And so when I saw that title come through, I was like, guys, what is that? And they were like, just listen to it. And I listened to it and I was like, okay, fine. But it took a couple tries because I think, the first version they did, I think Sam just talked about this online, was the first version they did was good, but I was like, this doesn't really capture the type of energy I wanted for both these characters. So I pushed them towards, like, Cherri has this sound, Pentious has this sound, and then I wanted, like, the harpsichord and, like, this weird Victorian, like, and it became this combination of things that I don't think has ever been done in this way, of, like, boy band meets harpsichord meets rock, meets ballad, like, it's just the weirdest combination.
You do a lot of those kinds of combinations in your music, and I think that's why I love all these songs so much. It feels like it's almost like they all scratch an itch that I already have when I'm seeking new music to get obsessed with, but the way that all those different itches are combined create, like, a whole new thing that I never even realized I needed.
Yeah, what's fun about it is the characters are so different and the music, I want to reflect them. And so because of that, it forces us to make combinations of genres or music or instruments that don't normally happen. And for that reason, I think it's so fun because it's like, it's an extension of the characters. And so because the characters are so colorful and varied, it forces the music to be that way too. So
we're going to come back to that song in a minute. But first, second roll in the tower.
All right, let's do it.
5. Here's a fun one that I had this on the list last time too, but I didn't get to ask it. And now I'm very excited that the time has come. Bottle episodes. If you had the opportunity to craft a Hazbin Hotel bottle episode, what corner of that world or what specific character would you want it to focus on and why?
I love that. We technically have one, but I can't tell you what future season that exists in. But I'm very excited because bottle episodes of TV shows are unique in their conception. And so I can't say what that one is, but I feel like for me, like if I was to do a different one, I honestly would love to see what, like, just a full on day in the life of, like, Lucifer is, and that's partially because he's my favorite, but it's secondly because what does it look like before the hotel, like before he comes back to the hotel and, like, is with Charlie and everyone. I would love to have seen, like, I'd love to have had, like, a flashback episode that's just about, like, what he did all day when he was depressed. I feel like that would lead to something sad and funny. So currently, because of where we are in the timeline, there's no need for that. But if I could insert a bottle episode into the show, it would be that.
I'll take that. We're also going to come back to Lucifer extensively because I've got questions about what's next for him. But first, one more.
All right.
One more.
Let's do it.
I think there's one more
3.
You got it. I was like, there's one more Hazbin theme question this time. I can't believe I didn't ask you this last time either. I had it on the list then. Hazbin characters. I know that you've said there's, like, a little piece of you in all of them, so that was making me wonder which specific Hazbin character are you the most like and which one are you the least like, but have a little something there.
Ooh, that's a fun one. There's a lot of me split between Charlie and Baggy. I think Charlie probably has the most to me because Charlie is, like, at this point, like, I don't she's not officially like an ADHD character, but considering how much of me is in there, I'm pretty sure it's some form of ADHD. She is somebody who is incredibly driven and determined, and kind of is, a very idealistic woman in a very nasty, against her world, which I feel like is the experience of a lot of female showrunners. So I have that experience of just kind of being against a Goliath that is the industry and the internet. In this season, I put a bit of my own experience being a person online. A lot of this season was about Charlie dealing with like the spinning of her words and the like fact that people don't hear her out, or that she feels misunderstood in her words, and she thinks, oh, but just saying more will help, like get it. And I've learned extensively, and I'm still learning, that that's something that doesn't get you out of the hole. It just digs it deeper. And that is not a lesson you can learn in one experience. It's something that you have to. But I put a lot of my own experience, I think, just being a creator who navigates the internet and has had that experience of like having my words spun or used incorrectly or used against me or all those things, and feeling the need to clarify and feeling the need to be like, that's not what I said, here's what I meant, or like whatever. That's personified in her very unhealthy desire to prove that the hotel is correct and like Vox. So I put that, this season in particular had a bit of my own experience having gone down those routes and having friends that are like, shut up, stop typing, don't do that, don't talk to them, don't do that, and I think that's what made it so comedically real. Like I was able to kind of put those experiences and those feelings into a character who has to learn those lessons, and so I think there's just a lot of me in Charlie in the sense of like those kind of characteristics. Like she is a character who just wants to have her good intentions known, and I think, but like you need to learn how to protect yourself and the people around you more than what the internet or what the world at large and in the show Hell thinks of her. And so there's that. With Vaggie, I think it's a little bit of like the anger. I remember like early on when I made Vaggie, like she is a very temperamental character and I'm a very temperamental person. So like basically every aspect that Charlie doesn't have about me is in Vaggie. So like the kind of fighter energy, the not being afraid to get angry and be expressive and kind of be the one that's like, am I the only sane person in the room? Like I've had that experience as much as I've had the Charlie, like I am the insane one in the room. And so those two characters in a lot of ways like are my most, like I have the most of myself in them. I'd say the characters I have like the least of myself in are probably characters like probably Alastor. Like I feel like Alastor has like an ego and like a sass that I don't have in my, like it's very fun to write, but I don't see myself as that big of a deal. And so I feel like he has such an ego that I'm like, I don't really, but I feel like the judgment maybe is like probably the tiny part of me that's in him. Same with like Valentino. I feel like there's not much of me in Valentino. No. He's just funny. I think he's just funny.
Oh, and Joel has so many like pitch perfectly delivered lines this season. Yeah. I put the Valentino and the Vees like more in one of my co-writers' camps because she loves them, and I feel like she has more of that like just like himbo like brain, like she just can really lock in with him. But yeah, he's more like of a comedic, like we treat him like he's like the trophy wife that has no brain, like he's pretty and that's it. and he's good at what he does because he's charismatic, but that he doesn't really have that much of a smart. What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a new edition of Collider Ladies Night with an old favorite. Vivienne Medrano's back.
Hi.
I'm so happy for you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so happy for you and the whole team. Like yet again.
Thank you. It's been the coolest. I mean, every new branch of thing, like every new milestone we hit, it's like the first time. So it's been awesome, and I'm so glad.
want to give you some like broader questions about your growing relationship with Amazon. And this is something we did talk about in San Diego, but that was a very quick interview. So I wanted to take a little more time to highlight it because it's important. The fact that going forward, you're going to have full creative control when it comes to this collaboration that you're doing with this streamer. So I have two questions in terms of getting at it. And I think this one might maybe help emphasize like what a special arrangement that is for you to have. When you pictured, I guess, like your dream long-term collaboration with Prime Video on Hazbin Hotel and the whole Helliverse for that matter, like what was the dream scenario initially and how does that compare to the deal that you ultimately struck with them?
I mean, the dream scenario for me, especially starting out, is really just, I just want my show made. You know, that's like the dream of every artist wanting to make a show really is like, I just want it made and I don't have that money and they do. And the uniqueness of Hazbin is it was my first show out the gate, so it's not as good of a deal as I've made since with like Helliva and stuff, but it's still a phenomenal deal for what it was, especially a first-time showrunner deal. I have ownership. You know, we have partners, but I am still one of those partners. I still own the show. And the creative freedom came first from A24, which was great. I think because we're one of their first animated shows and also just their brand is so creator friendly, we were able to they really just let me cook, which is really just, I think, how most shows should be when it comes to I mean, I'm sure live action, but definitely with animation. You'd be surprised what you get when you just let a really driven creator just tell the story they really want to tell. Most of the successful things that I'm seeing in the indie space is really just that. It's like someone just gave them the kitchen and let them cook. So for me, that's something A24 brought to me. And then with Amazon, obviously they came in with the big bucks and the big energy, and they elevated the show and greenlit season 2 and had faith in it, which was awesome. And it was a similar thing. Like they definitely have notes, but I don't feel like any of their notes are not in some way helpful. And we also can have a discussion if I'm if there's ever a note that conflicts with something that I want on a creative level, we just have a conversation about it. And I do think it's helped because sometimes you need an outside perspective to kind of be like, hey, that didn't really make sense to me. And then it makes us go, you know, well, it's like made sense to us, but like, yeah, maybe audiences won't realize that's what we were going for if you guys didn't. You know what I mean? And so there's always like a benefit to someone looking at stuff early, you know, and looking, because we as the writers, we all know what's going on. We know these characters in the story really well. And so it's easy for us to just assume something is obvious. So that I think that's helpful.
Okay, I'm going to follow up on that with a big two-part question. Can you tell me about a time when Prime Video came back with a note and it didn't feel right to you and you knew you had to stand by what you originally conceived and stick to the original idea, but then I also want an example of the opposite. Maybe even something specific we see in season 2 where they're like, I don't know if that's working, and maybe it took a little time for you to wrap your head around that note, but then you did and it made the show even better.
Ooh, you know, that's a really good one. I can't remember anything from season 2. I have some immediate answers for 3 and 4, but I can't talk about those. Yeah, so I can't talk about those, but that maybe I'll keep note of and be like, ask me then, because there are some really good ones.
I don't forget things.
Exactly. Yeah, don't forget. And
I've got quite a few questions that are inspired by I don't forget things.
Oh, wonderful. Perfect.
Here is something that, you know, it might not be an easy answer, but it is something you could safely answer now because there's probably a lot of other aspiring showrunners out there, especially women in this industry, who are looking to you and basically being like, I want to do what she gets to do. So what advice would you give to an aspiring artist in this space who wants studio support but also wants to make sure they get to make their show or their film their way?
Oh, that's a good one. Honestly, and also just because I'm feeling it, because just, you know, for time's sake, we are already knee deep into 3, and 4 is because it was also greenlit at the same time, so I'm not spoiling anything. It's also in the works, and that's hard. That's really hard. And so, you know, in a couple years when I'm through all that, it's going to be great. But right now it's hard. So honestly, my biggest advice for showrunners, but especially women, is the amount of thickened skin and backbone I've had to grow in just the past 2 years, let alone the whole 5-6 years of having a studio making the show. But like even just in the last 2 years specifically, when it's really blown up and things have gone faster and we've had more conversations and more things going into production, the amount of, and also the show's coming out because the Hell of a Boss has been coming out for a while, but Hazbin is only really, I mean, I guess we're kind of approaching the 2-ish year mark, but like it's only been like, it's been like a little less than 2 years since season 1 has come out. Now we're just heading season 2. Even just in that short time, there's a lot of feedback you get as a creator, both good and bad. But the bad can be really intense, and the pressure that you're under, because no matter what, even though you have hundreds of people working with you on an animated show, you are the face of it. You are the head of the ship. So no matter what issue it is, even if it had nothing to do with you, you will be blamed and you will be targeted. And my biggest advice, admittedly, like I know a lot of people, I notoriously don't sugarcoat my advice. So like when people come to me and they're like, I want to be an animator, I'm like, you have to love it, because it's a thankless job. It's a tedious job. It's a difficult job. And it's not exactly one that's super stable depending on where you do. You have to love it. I have the exact same sentiment for show running. You have to want to eat, sleep, and breathe your show, because there is no world where you are the one working the least. Like you are always working the hardest. So depending on how intense your show is, what you want for it, what you want it to look like, ultimately that's going to be a burden that you have to bolster. So there's that. You have to endure, again, all this pressure, all these eyes on you, people talking about you as if they know you, people talking about you as if they know your story, all these things. That's difficult. People, depending on who you are, depending on, I mean, again, if you're a woman, it's probably going to happen regardless. They're going to be talking about you as a person and things that have nothing to do with the show, or their opinion on the show might reflect on you unfairly. It's all that. And it's you being a leader of a ship, and it's you having to advocate for your team and for your show, whether it be in budget conversations or studio conversations. You have to be sort of a business person in some ways. You also need to be a kind of a mediator in some ways, because you also have to have a good working relationship with your crew, your cast, your executives, because like, you know, I'm not, and by the way, if you're none of these things, you can still be a showrunner. It's just my advice is to be one that can endure all of this. It's a lot. It's I think my latest advice, honest advice, is when people come to me and they're like, they want to make a show, I'm like, you have to gear up. Like it's always going to be a fun dream. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. When you get your dream, it comes with so much intensity and work and pressure and your life kind of going away. And like you have to kind of love it, and you have to love kind of the constant grind in a lot of ways if you want to do as much as me. If you just did one show, I mean, I'm sure if it was just one show, I maybe would have a different tone. Doing as much as I'm doing, I feel like just my honesty is you have to mentally and physically prepare yourself for like, you have to become a fighter, right? But not in the bad way, like in a way of like you can take on the world and you gain confidence and strength. And to be fair, I did not start that way. So I don't think if people are like looking at me and they're like, oh, but she's so accomplished and confident, I have been through the trial of fire many times over, and I'm still in it because you never get over it. So I know that was a huge answer, but
you never get out of it, and you learn something new every step of the way. Also, as you were explaining all of that goes into the making of the show, because we were talking about it before, then I'm thinking about you being on the convention circuit, and I'm not saying that every showrunner out there has to do this, and you know, really when I think about it, few do, but I think it's really important to your fan base that you are so like front-facing and engaged, and you clearly care about the community that you built. And I think that goes a long way too, but also that requires a significant amount of energy and effort on your part.
I don't judge other showrunners at all for not doing as many conventions as I do. I kind of almost feel like I'm in a unique basket, because so many artists who make shows and brilliant shows are not always like a super outgoing, like I guess the word is extrovert. Yeah, which like I didn't think I was, but now I'm thinking I am. And I think, and that's not everybody. A lot of artists are very reserved and want to just do their own thing. And I definitely have that side of me, but I also have a side of me that wants to meet people, wants to make friends, wants to go off and enjoy all these things. Like, and I'm as big a fan of the show as everyone else. And I think that's why I also like to see the fans, because I relate to them. I understand their feelings towards the show. I'm geeking out as much as them when I go to like, you know, we just had a Hazbin Cafe open in Japan, which was the coolest thing. What? Yeah. So like I was like geeky. I was like going around and I had like a million pictures with the standees, and like I'm as excited. Same with like the Broadway event, which was amazing.
Oh, I'm coming back to that.
Yeah. Like the energy of the fans really helps me. And for me as a showrunner, it reminds me also of why I'm killing myself making the show. Sometimes you need that reminder of like, this is why I have so many sleepless nights, because even though it hurts right now and it's hard right now, this show is always going to be something that changed somebody's life for the better. And they're going to always be able to watch it back, and they appreciate the work that goes in. And that's something not every show has the privilege of. And so I'm very thankful for the fans.
So all of what you said is so true, and that's one of many reasons why I love this show so much, and why I've loved getting to follow you all around on the convention circuit a little bit. Getting to experience even the slightest bit of that like fills me up and reminds me why I love my job so much. So you brought up the Hazbin Hotel live on Broadway, which was truly one of the most incredible things I think I've ever seen working in this industry. I will start with a straightforward question. What would you say surprised you most about what it takes to pull off a production like that?
Oh, man. I mean, honestly, I knew it took a village, but I think just like the sheer amount of people, like for me, and also the speed. I mean, to be fair, our event was a one night only. So I'm sure a lot more but at the same time, no, because every night, like so many people have to make sure every single little thing is working for an entire show to come together. So even though they're doing the same thing every night, they have it down to a science, and it's a machine. And so I think the coolest thing to me behind the scenes was knowing how, like, especially during the you know, like the rehearsals and stuff, it was like so structured to like, okay, this is where Christina's rehearsing, this is where Christian's rehearsing, like, but they would just go one after another. And then when Christina was done rehearsing, then maybe she'd go like do this like wardrobe fitting or like whatever. And then at a certain point they had to like shuffle us all into like glam and, you know, everything to get like all, you know, looking good for the event. And then in costume, and then we did like a dress rehearsal, and then we got out of our dress rehearsal to go to the red carpet, and then we went back and then got back into it, and the show like had started, and we were like getting dressed. Like it was crazy to like hear it and be like, they're killing it right now, and then having enough break to like go backstage and like see how it was filmed and see them perform. Like it was because it was live, there was so much energy. And I think that was what surprised me the most, because when you go to a show, like you obviously know a lot of work goes in, but you don't see it. You know, you just see what they present in front of you. So to be a part of the machine really inspired me, because, you know, I work in animation. Animation also is it takes a village, but especially since the pandemic, like we have not had an in-studio culture. Like even at my studio is entirely freelance, and the production of Hazbin is done mostly out of Australia. And so I'm not in a studio. I don't have a sense of that. So even though hundreds of people work on the show, it's like you don't really see that. With this, it was really cool to like see everyone together, and like people running mics and doing tech and like all these little things. I was like, this is so cool.
The
I love
coordinators running around, because I was sitting up in the mezzanine, and at a point they cleared all the rows in front of me.
Yeah, because they had to film Jeremy.
Like watching how they just like breeze through that, and watching all the camera ops like run around, but make sure cords weren't in places that like the artists could trip over. That people, I was just watching all of that happening, and I'm like, I don't want people to see you because that's not part of the recording that they should see. But also, I hope people know how hard
much
it
goes
is to make
into
that
it.
happen.
It is, and I have a lot of like once the special's out, I'm going to post a lot of my like I've purposely held off on doing stories for like all of October because I wanted to do that, and I'm weirdly anal about doing my stories in order because I only do my stories for myself. So, fun fact: if you see me post like 200 portal, like sometimes I'll post like an entire trip's worth of stories like a month later, and it's because that's the only time I have. But it's for me. I just like looking back on it, and I like everything chronological.
That's my exact way of of viewing social media because I never want social media to feel like another job. So my rule is I can only post something that I want to post, that I deeply care about, that I want to look back on or share with people for that matter.
Like I kind of see it as like a two-prong. I'm like, I'm sure people enjoy this. I got some really fun stuff, but it's more for me because I just love. I'm a fish. I forget things. I remember the visage of stuff, but I don't remember the exact moments. And so I am kind of like people on my team have lovingly referred to me as like the soccer mom because I'm always the one that's like, I like people seeing that at conventions too. Oh, yeah. It's like I think people like it when I do conventions because I just get so much more coverage of it than everyone else.
You did it during our panel, and I appreciated that. I think that's important, and it like I don't know, it makes you feel like a loving mother of this company that you built, where it's not just about seeing your vision through to fruition, but it's about celebrating their hard work every step of the way.
Yeah, and there's just so much chemistry with this cast. There's so many fun moments. Like I try whenever people like meeting for the first time, I try to capture that like as much as I can. Like I think I caught like Morgana meeting Alex for the first time. I've caught moments like that where I'm like, oh, I know this is and I just love it. I really love having those moments forever. In some way,
it's important. I'm going to ask one more Broadway question before I start to interrogate you about season 2 because I got quite the roadmap here. But I love the fact that you have heard those songs more times than I could probably count. But I love how songs can take on new meaning when they are performed and experienced in different ways. So is there any particular one that was performed that night that I guess kind of took on a new sense of life for you?
Honestly, definitely Vox Populi. That song is so Broadway, and I really loved like it's just so big and brash. Like the only thing that would have made it better for me is if there was a chorus. Like that would have, but like even without it, like Christian commands that song in a way, and also just like the combination of with Jeremy at the top singing that like really awesome rock part. I'm just like, that song is one of my favorites of the season. It's one of my favorite from an animation perspective. I really, like, I'm so proud of what our team was able to pull off with that song on a TV show budget. Like, insane undertaking, and it turned out so well. Every time we've watched it with anyone, everyone claps. Like, it's just it's like that song. It ends and you're like, yeah, and I love that. And so to have that be done on a stage, the way it almost feels like it was in the show, I think was like the coolest thing. Like I think not only did he perform it so well, but like, the fan interaction in the crowd and like the fact that it's such a showy Broadway showstopper that felt like seeing that performed in live on a Broadway stage took on a new meaning. So that song's very special to me.
It's so good. I'll also just add, I was in awe of watching Christina do Piss with a screen.
Yes, that too. I'm so glad that worked out.
Could not believe it.
Yeah.
Because I believe that was all like a last minute
It was very last minute. Alex just was too sick to perform.
Very understandable.
Very, very fair, but also a very like, oh God, like what do we do?
That's a scary thing for her, I have to imagine.
Yeah.
And
she killed it. And I think that was a good solution. And so I'm very glad it worked out. And yeah, she did so good. So yeah, I love that. So good.
Truly in awe. All right, season 2 questions. I'll start with a couple of like big, broader ones so you could touch on whatever you want. First big question I have is, can you tell me what the biggest difference is between how you pictured the season 2 storyline when you first started working on it and what it became in the finished season that everyone has now watched and loved?
That's a fun one. So once we lock in, the seasons don't change. But what is fun about season 2? So when we wrote season 1, we had no idea what the future was. When we got greenlit for season 2, that was also the only one that we knew was guaranteed. But season 1 had not come out yet. So that was awesome. It was very exciting to be like, so we wrote season 1 in this vacuum, and we made it in this vacuum of we have no idea what the future holds for this show. And then Amazon came in and swooped up and greenlit a second season without even the airing of the first, which I'm still so thankful for. I'm thankful to both A24 and Amazon for having enough faith in the show to give it those platforms. So with season 2, I think season 1 had come out when it was announced that we were greenlit for the rest, but a lot of it was honestly because they were seeing how season 2 was shaping up, and they were like, oh, we're going to do more, which really excited me, honored me. As I've been pretty open about, I envision the show as a 5-season show, so we're almost there. And I'm, obviously fingers crossed, I have no idea, but I'm feeling good about hopefully getting to tell this whole story just with how well it's doing, and I'm very proud of it. But so with season 2, we were in this position where not right away did we know we'd have all this. And so I kind of took the risk of going, there's a part of the story and there's a part of the lore and the twists and everything that I'm dying to tell. And I went, do I jump into that story? Or do we take the time to do some of the stuff that we wanted to do season 1 but couldn't? And I chose that. I was like, I'm going to take the risk and hope there's more and hope I get to that part of the story, which the good news is, yes, we do now. But I took that risk on season 2 where I was like, no, I think we need to build that story up more. If we jump right into it, I describe it as the point of the story where the roller coaster's going up the thing, and at a certain point, the roller coaster starts going down. You can't stop it. And so to me, that storyline is kind of that point. And so I was like, I don't know if it's worth jumping into that on season 2 when we have no idea what the rest of the show looks like. And so I was like, you know what? Season 2 deserves to be a proper follow-up to season 1. It needs to deal with all those things. Like, what is the fallout? What is the reaction? How, and then also just the Vees I've always envisioned as being big villains, but in my map at the time, there wasn't a season that solely, there was like a season where they shared with another villain every season. And I went, no, I think it's worth it to have a season where they're like kind of the main. Obviously, we've got Lute too, but Lute also is I call her a sleeper villain. We set her up big and we know her goal, but she keeps being restricted and she keeps being put into a box. And I think that's the point. Like, she is a character that needs to simmer because she is like a ticking time bomb, right? So she's the villain that we established. She's a villain. She's got problems. Here's what her problems are. Here's how the world is not helping with those problems. And we're going to see what that results in. But the V's are the main ones. And so I was very thankful to make that choice because not only do I love the V's, and I think they deserve their own season being the villain, but Vox especially has become one of my favorite characters I've ever created. I am so proud of his character. Not only do I think he's like a fun character, but like the depth and like the range of everything that we got to explore with him in season 2 and like knowing where it goes past that, I really love his character.
That backstory is something else too. Actually, I'll just jump to my backstory question because one thing that I was wondering, do you think Vox is the type of character who would have gone down a better path had it not been for what Alastor did to him?
That's a good question. It's funny seeing all the reactions to like everyone's calling him Baby Vox, and I get it because he is a very vulnerable little guy in that moment, which, by the way, was partially Christian. This was actually before we majorly knew. I didn't know him very well, and I was a little nervous to direct him too far. And he did that. Like, he has a tone for Vox all season, he's playing him and then in that scene, we didn't need to tell him to do anything different. He just did it differently. And when I heard it, I went, oh yeah, he plays him like really, really innocent here. Like, you can hear it in his voice. He's so much more like timid and like shy. But that was the point, because Vox is a character, as we see in the season, he was an egomaniac. He was a violent man. He did these horrible things when he was alive, and he was a cult leader. So he's a master manipulator. He's very charismatic. But in that moment with Alastor, he was being vulnerable in a way that, especially from the time period he's from, was not easy. And I think that's the element of it that I don't think people realize is like that was real. That his moment there with Alastor was like him letting down a guard that even existed when he was alive. And Alastor shit all over it. And so that's why he's extra insecure as a demon guy, as a TV guy, because he just like that was his moment. That was so I say yes and no, because I think if Alastor had accepted that and like we'd gone down that path, I think Vox would probably be a happier person, which maybe would mean he's less horrible, but I don't really know because he was horrible in life and he's still kind of horrible. And so is Alastor. So I feel like they would be a very jovial villain team. But I don't think he would have been totally different. And I also don't know how well that relationship ultimately would have worked with two egomaniacs at the helm, no matter how much he liked him.
There would have been a problem eventually.
Exactly. I feel like they're so similar and so different that it's like that could either be the best thing or the worst thing, right?
The flashback also left me wanting like a Vox growth chart.
Yes, yeah.
I just want to see like the range of TV heads he has had
oh
over
my god,
the years.
yeah. We put I don't know if it's seen in full, but in one of the backgrounds we do have one. We have I think maybe like whenever we're in his office, look into the background more. I know it's there. I just don't know if there's ever a shot where we see it like 100%. But yeah, he has a display of like all his heads over the years.
The amount of time I'm going to spend like scrubbing through the episodes and trying to find it. I'm going to jump to one of my episode 8 questions also because this does pertain to Vox. I forget which conversation we were having. I think it might have been the New York Comic-Con panel where you were kind of explaining how you were defining the seasons and explaining how it was kind of like a self-growth period for both Charlie and Vox. And given how things end for Vox in season 2, I was wondering, do you see that as the end of the exploration of his identity, or is that something that's going to continue in future seasons in new ways?
Oh, yeah. Well, partially because I really fell in love with the character. Just, again, there's so much there. He's not a one-dimensional character. He has so much, and he kind of started out. I mean, there's some characters that do start out that way. But I always knew that he had this insecurity with Alastor. I was very excited to show people how brutal it was because there's so many theories about it. Everyone knew that moment happened, but nobody knew how brutal it was. And so I was just sitting on it. I was just like, yeah, no. He has a reason to hate Alastor, you guys. But it led to, obviously, I know where the show ends or where I want it to end. And Vox stays an important character all the way through to the end. And I really like it because season 2, obviously, at the end is he gets humbled by the people who you would not have expected. And because by his own doing, though, because he let the manipulation of Alastor and his own hubris and his own ego and his own and wanting to prove himself, he let that distance himself from the people who helped build him to who he was. And that ultimately was his downfall. They were the ones that stopped him. And I think for me, we start like, I was about to go into spoilers for season 3, but I'll just say the safe thing I'll say is that Vox has been humbled. And so in season 3, we will have to see him deal with not being the person who's at the top of the food chain anymore. And that, I think, inherently creates a different arc for him. Is like, he has now been humbled as much as a villain can be humbled. And does he grow from that? What does he do from there is something I'm very excited for everyone to see. So yes, he has plenty more arc. He has lots. And same with Charlie. I mean, every character this season, obviously Charlie's biggest arc is learning that internal thing of like, look, you have to listen to people around you. You can't let your own feelings and your own desire to not be seen as the bad guy, not be seen as all these things. So she learns by the end to put more faith in everyone. but as is teased at the very end of the season, next season is going to be very complicated for her for different reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm very excited for all of it. So yeah, both characters had a very similar arc this season about identity and their insecurity playing a huge role in why they're pushing everyone away for different reasons. With Charlie, it comes from a very personal manic reason of like, she just found out that redemption is possible. Her whole entire life view was validated, but the narrative is not syncing up with what she believes, and therefore she's making a mess for herself. Whereas Vox, it's the opposite. He's gaining every favor, but none of it's enough, and it's his insecurity is taking him more and more Icarus. So that's kind of where I thought this season was kind of perfect, because I was like, we get to have the hero and the villain parallel each other in a way that I don't know if they do in future seasons. So I'm excited.
That parallel works so well. I want to jump to the end so badly, but I also don't want to miss a couple of early season questions that I had written down. I'll jump to episode 4 first. This is a tiny thing, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but obviously I'm always looking for the little details, and this little detail I caught in the news crawl, and then I started Googling, and then I got really curious. It's the whole Black Hatters thing. And then I started to go down, the Google rabbit hole, and I found, Black Hat from Villainous, and then I'm reading about how people were incorporating that character in Hazbin fan fiction. Like, what is happening there?
I can tell you it has nothing to do with Villainous. The funniest thing about it, so I can tell, I'm wondering how much I can tell if we want to keep this joke or not. So specifically the Black Hatter thing comes as an inside joke from me and my crew. That's why I know. I'm like, Sky fucking wrote that. That in particular, well, firstly, the history of the Black Hat, like the reason Black Hat from Villainous is called Black Hat is because that's like the classic, like in old movies, I believe in like black and white movies, you either had the villains the Black Hat, the heroes the White Hat. So Villainous is clever in their naming of their character, but it is not something they own. But that said, this joke that we came from that, where it was me trying to figure out what hell's version of a Christmas lore would be. So we obviously, if we ever did a Christmas special, Krampus would probably be the focus, because no brainer. I love Krampus. But we were trying to think of what would Charlie's like childhood, like Lucifer was like, go to bed on time or else the Black Hatter will come and get you. And so that was the joke. We were like, what is like the weirdest, like sounds like a storybook character, but like kind of has some relevance in lore. And so we were like, oh, let's just call it the Black Hatter. And it literally, the character design I made for it is just a character comprised of hats. There is no body. It is just a character that has a hat head, hat arms, and it looks so stupid. And I was like, and we just kind of internally fell in love with this character. So they wrote it into the fucking scroll.
I think it sounds genius.
Yeah. So there you go. If you guys want the Christmas special where Charlie is like, we have to do whatever thing or else the Black. And by the way, what we wanted, so I'm just ruining the Christmas special now. What we wanted was, all he does is he comes and he beats you up. He doesn't kill you. He doesn't kidnap you. He just comes and starts punching you with his hat hands. And so we were like, we wanted to have whatever the special is, everything's normal. And then one of the characters does the thing. And then he comes in from out of screen and just starts it becomes like a Smiling Friends episode. We're just at the end of this character starts beating the shit out of somebody. And everyone's like, oh God, like what? And then it cuts. That's who the Black Hatter is.
Is the Black Hatter made of one specific kind of black hat over and over, or a variety of black hat styles?
I feel like that I mean, looks at Sky. What's easier to animate, Sky? What should the Black Hatter be made of, Sky? I love that question.
I'm so happy that I asked it now.
Because I also know, like, Villainous is such a fun show, and so, like, I don't want to offend their fan base by thinking that we put his, like, I'm like, no, we didn't, because I do know they did that. But no, it's really just a really stupid joke.
I love it.
Character made of hats versus guy who is a villain in his own universe who also wears hat. That's what it is.
That answer makes me want to jump to another another very hyper-specific question that came to mind. This while watching episode 6. So in episode 6, I believe Zestial refers to Vox as the media overlord. And it was just making me wonder, do you have like sub-names for all the overlords? Like, is Zestial the overlord of something and everybody else the same?
That's such a good one. So yeah, in the original version, which we've kind of cheated now just because we want more variety, but in like one of my earliest versions of Hazbin, I wanted each of the overlords to represent a different kind of either media or art expression. So that's why when we do see them, even in this season, you will see some that are like ZZ is like the club, like hip hop, you know, kind of like that, like grungy, kind of club overlord. And then we've got Maestro, who's like seems like classical music overlord. Vox is like one of the top ones, so he's like overall media, like he controls TV is kind of the focus though. Valentino is film, so he does like adult film and porn and stuff, but in this universe that's kind of Hollywood, so he's kind of like the Hollywood guy. Velvet is specifically social media, so she, you know, hers is very specific to that. Carmilla is dance, like she's based, if you look at her design, she's based around ballet. So, you know, like they all have like this vague theme, but I think we kind of like, as the characters started playing different roles, we didn't like want to label each one. But yeah, if you look at them, they all have like kind of a thematic thing that you could relate back to some form of artistic expression.
I love those touches. All right, I have another Zestial question because I've always wanted to know more about that character, but in particular after his conversation with Carmilla in episode 6, where we very much see that he not only sees through Vox, but is also willing to draw a line when she won't. And I am just desperate to know why that character is the type of character who sees that and will stand up for what's right.
Yeah. Zestial is interesting because, yeah, all the characters are obviously bad. And we get allusions to what Zestial did in season 3, which isn't a major spoiler. It's a very brief thing. But yay for all your Zestial fans. He'll get some stuff. But, you know, I think for me, it's important to show that there are characters with very specific morals or who are able to see through the bullshit and understand that it's not worth their time, or this is just not a good idea. And I think Zestial, he sees through Vox, so he knows that Vox is only out for himself, and so he doesn't want to support that. But he also just knows internally, and we'll learn more about Carmilla as the show goes on, and like where her guilt and her pain lies. But a lot of it is also due to these angelic, like, she wields so much power that she kind of was the originator from, but it also led to so much more death. And so I think there's an element of him being like, don't going down that path that I kind of know that's complicated for you, you know? So he's a very wise character. And I think that he's able to, like, not that he necessarily wants to do what's right or like what's righteous, but he just knows that this is a bad call and it'll just make you feel worse or do worse or get hurt, you know? So I think he's a very wise character, and he's been in hell for so long that I don't think he doesn't have any desire to do any more evil, because he's just like, I'm good. He's an old guy, you know? He's just like, I've gained my power. I'm good. I've existed here for so long. Like, I'm just, you know, I feel like I've always loved like characters who exist in such a huge span of time. It's like reality kind of stops being reality for you. Like, you're just kind of existing, and you're like, I mean, I imagine, I've never lived that long, but I imagine like the existentialism of that is just kind of like nothing matters anymore. So I feel like Zestial is one of those characters that kind of lives above like these wants and desires that the other overlords have because they're, you know, young and scrappy and haven't gotten there yet.
It's incredible how little screen time he gets in both seasons, but like, for whatever reason, that is a character that has me leaning in so much, and I love
characters
so
like that kind of do. They have so much knowledge and wisdom, and they've existed for so long that you're like that this guy has some stuff.
Every word he says like has the greatest weight ever, so I'm always just like very in touch with whatever he says.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to jump to Angel next because I believe this happens at the end of episode 6. And I want to word this question right. I wrote it and then rewrote it 500 times, but I'm very, very eager to hear about, I guess it is kind of a little bit of a retcon type of situation, but also my question kind of leans into how we perceived Angel throughout season 1 and season 2. Lies, I have to backtrack and just clarify one thing, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I want to make sure that we're spot on with this. So it is revealed that the Vees have been manipulating Angel.
Yes.
Has that been happening in all of season 1 in addition to season 2? It's not something that just started in season 2, right?
No, and if you watch the episode, it was really fast. Again,
there's Sir Pentious.
Runtime is always a thing.
Well.
But we had like a very short amount of time to show that kind of when we reveal that he's been spying.
Yes.
So if you watch that, you can see stuff from season 1.
Yes.
Like you see them fortifying the hotel. You see them, like you see these moments from season 1 and most of season 2. And yeah, like, and like, you know, and it's fun though, because I'm already seeing people do it because I was like, oh, I wish we had more. If there was one thing I wish we could have done is I wish we could have set up Baxter to be the red herring a little more. Because a lot of people have already pointed out, and a lot of people actually are already guessing, because again, when this is recorded, only the first 4 episodes are out. So people have not figured out the thing with Angel yet. And so when there are people that are like, I wonder if he's telling them things. And I'm like, good, think that. Because then it'll hit harder when you find out. But like, that was like the one thing that I wish we could have set up more is like people really made people think, oh, that's how he knew. And then we reveal it's Angel.
Ooh,
but
boy.
I still think the reveal works. And it is very heartbreaking because that is the thing that makes Angel go, I don't think I can do this anymore, you know?
That scene was upsetting. I mean, that kind of somewhat does answer the specific question that had crossed my mind, because in season 1, or at least as we were seeing it at the time, Angel is probably one of the characters, more so than any other, that is the most active in terms of, you know, self-discovery, the itch to change, all of that good stuff. And then we get this storyline where you kind of take away his agency in season 2. So I guess, can you kind of walk us through coming to the conclusion that would best serve Angel's maybe overall series arc, and that it was necessary at this point in his journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing about how it's done is also that Angel has this freedom and this autonomy, but the point of the reveal is partially to remind him and the audience that he is in this horrible situation that even the good parts of the hotel can't free him from. And I think that was kind of why I felt like it was overall necessary. But I also just think in general, he did have all those authentic moments. So it's not like Vox was controlling him to do all the things he did, but the fact that he could have all these good moments and then unawarely to have this moment where he dips out and doesn't remember like that night, you know, is really scary. I think there's an element of that just, again, it shows like the kind of thing that can happen when you're in an abusive relationship, that you can have a really good, safe space, but the second you know, like there is still ways for that like abuser to find you and have control of you if you are not out of that situation. And so that was kind of, it's definitely like an intense thing, because I think we decided that we were like, yeah, we feel like it's important to also showcase Vox as a perpetrator as well, because I think that's another thing too. A lot of people blame Valentino, and to be fair, Valentino is horrible and he is the main abuser of Angel, but Vox is absolutely complicit. Like, he might not be the one physically assaulting Angel in the same way, but he like is still assaulting Angel, and he's also still doing things without Angel's consent, and like it's just one of those things where like those two characters, like, they are cut from the same cloth of controlling people, and so it was partially because we needed to show that side of Vox and it was important, but it was also to show that, you know, like, this is like something that Angel is still trapped in, even though everything feels good. And so obviously it's without any kind of shock. Season 3 is a lot about Angel and about his situation, and also about Husk and the fact that Husk, is a character that's really grown to care about Angel. And that's a really hard position because we already know through Loser Baby that they have a lot of connection with each other, and they're both in a situation that's very similar. But unlike Angel, like Husk at least has someone who, again, it's hard to compare abusers in this show, but at least Alastor has his own agenda, and like Husk is just there to help him achieve it here and there. But with Valentino, it's like Angel is like this thing that he wants to lord over, and he wants control over, and he wants to control and use and hurt. And that's like the difference. And I think there's an element that I'm excited for people to see us explore of like Husk being in this position where he's just realizing how much more different Angel's situation is from him. And I think that's also really, again, my personal favorite season is 3, so I really like it. But I think, it's probably the heaviest, most like emotionally driven season, which is saying a lot because I think season 2 had a lot emotion.
Of that. Well, that particular scene with Angel at the end of episode 6 was, and I mean this as a compliment, as in it is very, very effective. It was deeply upsetting.
Yeah.
So much like incredibly thoughtful stuff baked into your super entertaining show.
Thank you.
I appreciate that combination quite a bit. All right, where to go from there? I want to ask about this. I don't know if this is necessarily the best question for you. It might be a little more for Amir, but it's one line that's kind of burrowed its way into my brain because I think it's a good line, but also I think his delivery is just so spot on. This happens in episode 7, and it's when Alastor tells Vox, there's nothing you can do to break that girl's spirit. Can you tell me about maybe coming up with that line, but also hearing how it transforms when he delivers it? And I guess like really captures the purpose behind that line because I felt it.
I love that. That's a good one. I mean, well, again, without getting too much into season 3.
Yeah.
As we see, Alastor also has a very different agenda in season 3, and he may or may not be a great guy in season 3. And what's exciting to me about that line is I think that line and lines like it, moments like it, are the hint at what Alastor admires about Charlie authentically. And I think that's why I like that you pointed that out because again, these are the kinds of moments and lines that we put in as like nuggets that feed into later development. And but we don't expect all those ones to be picked up on. Like I feel like the way we have to kind of treat each season is we sort of have to start at square one. Like we can't always rely on people knowing intimately every single line and every single moment that happened in a previous season. When people do, it's great, but we do kind of have to sort of start a new track every season to kind of get people up to speed. So obviously season 3 will have leads up to moments like that. But I like that you caught it in season 2 because like moments like that show Alastor, he admires people who can take all this abuse and all this pain and all this rejection and ridicule and all this stuff and still, like, as he says, smile through it. And she's a character who, like, even if she's not smiling, like she is really, taking it on. And again, like her spirit, her resolve is not being lost. And he admires that about people like her. So I think it's important because it shows like, hey, Charlie means something to this guy, even if he doesn't even really know that she means something, which is great.
I could feel that she means something, but I couldn't quite I can put a finger on what I wanted that line to mean precisely, but knowing that character, it's not precisely what it is.
I think it was a fair read to read that as not just a dig at Vox, like it was a genuine thing.
It's also
he said.
An interesting choice to have that line said on Vox's shot. Like I just found the construction of all of that, like it contains multitudes.
Thank you.
Now I'm thinking about Life of Chuck all the time. Can't help that. Here's another Alastor question that might have to go in tease territory, but I was wondering, will Emily, having risked her life for him, carry into season 3 at all?
Ooh, that's a good one. It carries in the sense that it has impact. I can't specify whether or not it has impact on Alastor. There's a part of me that doesn't think like it's that much of a spoiler to say Alastor doesn't super care about the angels. And I think that her doing that was more of a gesture to overall hell. I think the people in hell saw that moment, and that's probably where it had more impact than on Alastor. I don't know if Alastor super cares.
At the very least, I will take it having an impact on hell.
It definitely did. I think that moment serves as one of the reasons why redemption doesn't seem like a dumb idea anymore. Like I think the proof, seeing Emily as an angel, especially a high level angel, actively putting herself in harm's way for a hell person, like that shows a lot of and it can help with their argument of, hey, we don't want to kill you guys anymore. Maybe there should be unity or peace or something. And that goes a long way, because when you say things like that, it's all well and good, but you have to put your money where your mouth is. And I think she did. So that's, especially with a character like Alastor, who's kind of one of the worst. So it's like everyone was probably like, oh yeah, that guy sucks. That's nice.
And Amir is just eating every single ounce of it up.
He's hamming it.
He is also so damn good live on Broadway. I just like seeing him crush every single song he sung was something else. Here's another question that might have to be filed in tease territory. I have ideas about this, but it means more coming from you. Can Cherri and Pentious ever really be together?
Ooh, yeah, I definitely can't answer that.
Yeah.
But I hope so.
I hope so too. That ending with him when he gets the card.
Yes, I love. Yeah, so that's one of the things we reveal is that communication can happen now, which is great.
I will take a step in the right direction in that respect. Oh boy, here's another thing that you might not be able to answer for me, but obviously the season ends with presumably a call from Lilith.
Yes.
I mean, I'm assuming that is not a trick.
No, okay. I can say that much. I'll give you guys not having to wait however long it takes us to bring you season 3 to wonder whether or not that was actually her. It was.
Thank you. Much appreciated. So, is it safe to assume that Lilith will finally have a presence in the next season?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Good.
Now that this season is over and people know that she is not really in this season, yes, season 3 she is there.
Okay.
I promise.
I will take that, and I will also assume that it will be our opportunity to learn more about her original deal with Adam, but also to get a little more clarity on that. When Adam dies, is the arrangement then passed on to Lute? And if so, does Abel now kind of hold the power in that deal?
That's a good question. I mean, it was one of those things where, well, firstly, the way deals work in my universe is you kind of have to see them shake on it. So technically, she was just giving an order. Lute was giving an order.
Gotcha.
So in this season, we see that Sarah kind of spoils that. Sarah's kind of just like, you can't do that. You can't tell her what to do. You can't tell him what to do. You can't do that. So that was, and admittedly, I will admit, the Lilith thing that we teased in season 1 was partially because, like I said, we didn't know what we would get. And when I said I took the risk to pivot the story and give that more time, that was what we did. And so we did have to go, all right, we're saving you. But so that is the one thing, if people notice, like, oh yeah, they really set her up and then didn't do anything. I'm like, we did. Sorry. She will. But here's the thing is that the phone calls to Charlie, or Charlie makes phone calls to her every episode. That was something I wanted in season 1. We just had zero time. It would have felt tacked on. It would have felt weird. It just didn't work. So this was the culmination of everything that we wanted to do. And it's almost like an extension of season 1. It's like, this is that whole arc. And now we can get into the Lilith stuff. That's how I see it.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Like I said, it's the part of the story I've been dying to tell. So I'm very excited.
Oh, I can't wait. All right. Now for my specific season 3 questions. I've got a couple of them. Here's the point where I get to bring back something that I told you I wasn't going to forget.
Yes. Okay.
So on the New York Comic Con panel, we were talking about the definition of each season. And you specifically brought up the idea of each one being a color. I'll start with the color thing. So season 2 is the blue season. Is it safe to assume that season 1 is maybe the red?
It's red.
Season?
Yeah, I consider season 1 red, and then season 2 is like blue.
And then season 3?
Oh yeah, here's the thing: the colors I don't think give anything away.
Okay. Wait, tell me all the colors then.
Yeah, I can tell all the colors. So red is 1, blue is 2, 3 is purple and green. So I mean, technically some of them are multiple colors. So it's just, but predominantly purple and green are the colors. 4 is yellow or like gold. And then 5, which again, not confirmed, but if I get it, would go back to red. So that's the implications.
I know you feeling safe telling me that means I can't possibly figure anything out, but the way the wheels in my head are spinning
well, that's the thing
control.
is I think something as broad as that, it's like people are gonna be like, which characters are gold? Wait, is gold heaven is really gold? I'm like, that doesn't mean it's heaven. You never know. Like there's so much more in this show that like you might not know, but it's fun to think about. So again, like that's why I'm like, go nuts.
I ask it because I am going to have a great time thinking about it for however long. Actually, I'll ask that question now because I just said for however long, and also you mentioned this at one point during our conversation. Can you give us a sense of the roadmap at all? How far into making season 3 are you, and can people expect a similar wait between season 2 and 3 as we experienced since season 1?
I can't say just because I know they want to keep where we are, all those things kind of close to the chest. We are definitely well into it, but animation takes a long time, so we're definitely nowhere near release. But I would say safe time-ish. Again, like safe, similar wait for season 3. I think we need probably the same amount of time, but less of a wait for season 4 because they were greenlit together. We're doing them back to back, which is just going to mean less of a wait. It's obviously it's a monster show, so a lot can happen. But just in general, I just knowing how it's aligned, it will not be as long of a wait for sure. It might still be a wait, but it won't be the equivalent of what it was. Because again, like I think it's close to 2-ish years. That feels right. But again, I don't know. I don't control that. I actually genuinely don't. That feels right to me.
I get that.
Because it's the same undertaking, right?
I will always want more of your show now, but because this speaks to the quality of what you've already done.
It's always worth it.
It really is pretty incredible just I guess like how alive and active season 1 was in my life, all the way from release to now the release of season 2.
Which is crazy.
And how satisfied I was just carrying it around. It's a pretty incredible achievement.
Thank you. I think the thing that I appreciate the most about the fandom and about these shows is that exactly like it's been close to 2 years since season 1 came out, and now we're just getting season 2, and it kind of feels like it never died. Like people, I'll even watch like reactors and they're like, oh, we're finally back, like but it doesn't feel like they they know they physically stopped, but we get more and more people discovering the show. There's more and more reactors. I actually that was something pointed out by one of my crew members. He was like, there's so many more reactors for this season, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like to me that's exciting because I'm glad. And some of these people I've only recently got into it, and so they did like season 1 first and then they're doing this, and to me, it's like, I feel like these shows, even if they have long waits, we keep so active in the fandom, and the fandom is so active. And again, these seasons, like, are dense. Like, this isn't like a show where you get a season, you watch it, and you go, okay, cool, I'll watch the next one later. But, like, I feel like the story we're telling it's unfolding. So you're getting almost like new chapters of a book. And to me, I'm like, that feeds people for longer, I feel, because it's like there's so much left unanswered. There's so much for people to speculate, which can be a blessing and a curse, because sometimes when you give people a lot of time to speculate, they're going to come up with something that they think is better than what we're actually doing. And then we have to deal with that. But like at the same time, I almost don't mind that too, because sometimes it's like, I'm glad that you were so excited that you came up with your own story. Like, that's so cool. So to me, it's like there's pressure to like, I hope people like what we're actually doing. But even if they don't, it's like, well, we kept them so entertained that they wanted to see something else, you know? So that's kind of where that's why I'm very thankful to this fandom, because like, we really like, obviously we stress out about trying to get the shows to people as fast as possible, because we want more of the story told. We don't want people to get tired and not want to keep watching. But I think like the blessing for me is like, I don't feel like that's the case. At least we have not hit that point yet where people are like, I knowing the story in my head, I am optimistic we will never reach that with Hazbin, because unlike other shows that kind of just keep going, I do have an end goal in mind for Hazbin. Every season is very deliberate. So for that reason, I think there's something to wait for every time.
I appreciate that thought and clarity. I'll dig into that thought and clarity just a little more by going back to defining each season, because the other part of that conversation had you call season 1 redemption, season 2 the theme of identity.
Yes.
Can you share the theme of season 3?
Ooh, I'm actually going to steal this one from a fan because they don't technically know, and so I feel like that makes it more spoiler free.
Okay.
Someone said they think that the next season is probably going to be about family. And I was like, I think that's a safe one, because obviously we know it's going to be about the Morningstars, and they are family. And it's also about Angel and found family and maybe a bit of his history. And obviously now we know from season 2 that he has extended family. He has a sister who we've seen, and I can't wait for people to meet her. And he has a brother and a dad. And people who know my characters, know my lore, know it's not a secret that I do have demon designs for them. So I think saying that season 3 is about family is a safe one.
I'll take that. I look forward to that. All right, I swear I'm going to let you go soon. Two more questions. This is another follow-up from San Diego Comic-Con, because there you told me that something that happens in Hazbin Hotel season 3 is what got the show greenlit initially. I do not want to spoil what that is, but just so we can zero in on maybe the right thing in season 3, can you tease what that idea was?
I cannot, because it will probably give it away.
Yeah, I have to respect that. I don't want to ruin anything.
Yeah, there's some really fun like reveals and twists in season 3, and more than one. So like, it's not like, go look for the one. No, there's a lot that happens, and so I had a lot of those in my initial pitch, and I think they were just like, oh, that's fun, and they liked it. So
another one to go up in the follow-up pile for a future interview when I know you'll be back in this studio.
Exactly.
So now we have to end our conversation with the same question that ends every single ladies' night and always will. So, film and television, we give each other awards. Great. Keep on doing that. I like making people tell themselves good job, because I think we should do that even more than we do. I want to know a specific thing you accomplished in season 2 that you know you're always going to be able to look back on and say, you know what, I am especially proud of what I did there.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's such a good one. And I normally feel like I have some. I have to think, because we're just so far ahead.
You can take your time to think, and that's when Adam does his editing magic, and it's like you came up with an answer on the spot.
There's a couple shots / scenes in season 2 that came out exactly the way I saw them in my head. And I can't take full credit on that, but I directed and briefed certain sequences, specifically Vox Die, which is the reprise of Vox Populi. That reprise, when I first heard it, it gave me chills. Like, I was like, I imagine what it is. That one almost shot for shot. Like, I didn't board it, so I cannot take credit for it, but I briefed Ames, who's the board artist, who's phenomenal. I briefed Ames on that sequence so intensely. I believe I thumbnailed some stuff, and I just like was really specific. And then as she was doing the boards, I like did very specific notes, and she just perfectly. So like in animation, you always see things in your head beforehand, and sometimes it looks exactly what you want, but it's very rare. Usually it's either better than what you imagined, or it's just something different, or it's just not quite there, but you're like, it's there, you know? That sequence is like exactly what I imagined. And so to see it personified and like in animation, and it's such a gorgeous sequence. It has some of the best animation in the episode. It's so chilling, and like Christian's performance is so insane. Like it's so, I I'm very proud of that moment. I'm proud of that whole episode. And again, I can't take credit for that episode, but I did write it, and I did heavily direct it. And and again, I have to give credit to the other director. Like, I was not the sole person doing all that, but the fact that like it's just such an insanely impressive piece of animation. Like, as an artist, I'm just like so proud of the team. I think that song is so bombastic, so I'm proud of the songwriters. I'm proud of the performers. Like, that episode's very special to me because it was another one too where every so often there's episodes that I've had in my head for a very long time. And the idea of them coming down with the gift baskets has existed since season 1 and maybe even before. And so having this full circle story episode with this amazing villain having his villain moment, like that's his turn into full villain, and having the visuals match exactly what I had in mind. It just is, I'm very proud of that. So that's the props I'm going to give myself, is like pulling that one off from a writing to a visual perspective. Like, I'm very proud of how it turned out. And I think part of that was just because I was insane about it.
I don't blame you one bit. You should be so proud of that and everything in season 2. I would be more sad right now to let you go, but like, you're stuck with me. You're stuck with me. I know you're going to be back in this studio very soon and we can dig into even more Hazbin. I'm going to say huge congratulations on everything you've already accomplished with the show, on season 2 specifically, and all the good coming your way in the future.
Thank you.